we are back for another episode, Brian. It's been a good week, man. What do you think?
It's been a busy week. It's been a busy day. I did the SHOT Show. I did Industry Days at SHOT Show yesterday, so I got to go shoot lots of really cool new guns that nobody gets to touch yet. And then we did the floor of the SHOT Show for the first day today. So
we tried to do the floor. We didn't get through much of it, man.
We got through half of the first floor, maybe. There's only like 3 more floors in that building and then a whole nother building to go. So
yeah, man, it's all about making those contacts.
We're working with our buddy over there at Field to Grill, Rydell Danzy, and we're gonna hopefully you'll be seeing some content. We're gonna go do a bunch of interviews and do some filming this week, probably on Thursday, and have some really cool content. We've got some from Industry Days where we did some stuff and just get some actual video content out.
We saw some cool products too, which I'm excited about, and we won't promote just anything, but in fact, we're not sponsored by by anybody in particular. But
we got Battleborn beer and Field to Grill.
Yeah, we got
Beck sunglasses.
But they're all good products, and some of the products we decided were just awesome. But we'll talk about that in a later show. Let's get on to the heart of the show,
the meat of it.
Yep.
They've been waiting for like an hour and a half. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm going to be a college swimmer now. That's going to be my new job.
We've got a couple of young bucks in here that, in fact, the Mr. Nevada Mullet himself.
The Nevada Mullet.
The McGanzer or the Woody.
The Wood Duck.
Depends on where he's at, in his house or in public.
The Battleborn Wood Ducker.
But
that's a good one.
That being said, he actually took some fellers out and introduced them to duck hunting. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your friends and what happened, man?
I don't even know where to start for this.
Probably at the beginning.
Yeah, that's where I'd start.
Yeah.
Usually if you start at the end, it doesn't work very good.
Yeah.
It's like, I saw a light and then I started to cry.
So it was maybe like 2-3 weeks before we were even thinking about how doing the youth opener this year. Brian told me that I'd be taking out 2 young hunters, Gus and Garrett.
This is Kody's first year, so Kody turned 18, so he aged out of the system. So the first year Kody could actually be a mentor. So
he did a good job at it as well.
Yeah, full-grown man with a mustache.
Yeah, and in case everybody doesn't know, we've talked to him before. This is Nevada Mullet. This is my boy Kody. So. But yeah, you got to do be the mentor for the first time.
Yeah. So you're the one that set this up with Kody, huh, Brian?
Well, yeah. So Garrett and Gus's dad has been on some job sites with me and stuff, and so we were able to talk about it. And I'm like, hey, let's get these kids out duck hunting. They hunt everything else under the sun, but they've never gone duck hunting. So I talked to their dad and said, hey, would they be interested in coming out duck hunting? And I'm like, I'd like to maybe team them up with Kody and let Kody, because they have a little bit of history together. So they've all shot competition. They're all competition shooters, and they all went to the 4-H program. And Gus and Garrett went to national and stuff. But we did a shoot that I put on as a kind of state tune-up shoot. And so these boys got to shoot together a little bit and get to know each other a little bit there. And then...
hold on a second. So you guys have shot in what, 4-H then?
Yes,
yeah.
What did you shoot at?
We shot shotgun and archery.
At the Logandale Fun Shoot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. And you shot in 4-H competitions too then, or no?
Yes. Later that year we went on to state, and then just recently, last year, we went to nationals.
Yeah,
really? How'd that go?
Really good. We did not place... we placed really high, but we didn't win.
Well, tell us what's involved in a national shoot. How does that work?
Tons and tons of practice.
No, how many bullets are you going through on an off season? On a season, I guess.
Season thousands.
Okay. Yeah, and we were loading our own thing. Our dad, thankfully, he bought the stuff for us, and he showed us how to load our own shells. And we were sitting there on the weekends loading our own shells. No, during the week we were loading our own shells, and then during the weekend we'd go to the Clark County Shooting Park and practice skeet, sporting clays, and trap.
Well, and the Nevada shooters have a little bit of a disadvantage for when it comes to nationals, because each state sets their own 4-H rules. I was a 4-H shooting coach for a long time, and I was actually on the committee, and they will only allow them to shoot certain disciplines. So with shotgun, they're only allowed to shoot trap here in the state of Nevada. They're not allowed to shoot sporting clays, and they're not allowed to shoot skeet. So what happens?
Explain the difference between trap, skeet, and
well, trap is just basically your one thrower. It's going from one location. It's not changing where it's coming
same
from.
trajectory every time.
Not the same trajectory. It goes side to side, and it'll launch at different points. But trap actually has trap houses, so it'll come from in front of you. It'll come from the side of you. There's crossing clays. So
Yeah.
and so we don't allow our 4-H kids in Nevada to shoot trap and sporting clays. Sporting clays is basically kind of like golf for shotguns. They're coming from every different direction. You have rabbits and everything else.
Okay.
So when these boys get to nationals, they have to shoot disciplines a lot of them have never shot before. So
Yeah.
they're gonna have to shoot sporting clays. Well, if you've never shot sporting clays, that's not something you go do your first time. And
No.
It can
are
be confusing
successful.
for sure.
But the good thing is we have a pretty good support system. I know you guys are doing the Prompt Club, the Prompt 4-H Club, whatever it was
Yes, sir.
called.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And their dad, how I met their dad, was actually we did our shotgun coaching session together.
That's cool.
So it was a Father's Day weekend, and we actually spent Father's Day shooting until our arms fell off shooting trap.
Yeah, he told us about this.
Yeah, we went through, I don't know, I think we went through 300 or 400 rounds a day on the trap range. So I got to meet their dad. And so it's pretty cool that these guys are nationally, they're national shooters. They're a high caliber shooter, but we get to take them out and put them on ducks, and I got to take one of them out for actually opener, for adult opener. And I think they realize it's a lot different than shooting a clay.
Oh my gosh, yes, so much different, because you do not know where that duck is going to go at all. Like, you kind of do, but not. Clay, straight line, usually. Unless there's wind.
Yeah, unless there's wind. And,
Yeah.
And they do make some clays that they
wobble. There's a weight on the side of it.
Well, they wobble, but there's another clay that actually is set to mimic a duck. And so
Really?
It kind of dips and dives and floats and does weird things, kind of like a duck does. So you can get them, but they're just not very prevalent. But, it's great because we get these kids out, and, we do it through the Win Youth Sportsman's program that Ron and I are involved in, and we get these kids out, and they were lucky enough. Not only did the twins get one mentor, but they actually got a 2-for-1. So our good friend John Scalen was able to go out there. So they had a really experienced.
How many years of experience do you think John's got?
Oh, dude, I bet you John's got 30 plus.
Yeah, so you got an expert in the field.
He has over 100 bands on his lanyard, he said.
And Kody,
He said.
yeah, Kody is
Both
very
the old and new.
Yeah, Kody is very, very good with that particular game
WMA.
preserve, that WMA. So he was able to actually mentor John a little bit too, because John wasn't used to that preserve, and so he's hunted a lot in Northern California, and so it's a different style of hunting, and you got to do different things in different places.
What blind y'all set up in?
36.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, 16. But
And the cool thing was, these boys were able to get more ducks than anybody else on the game preserve for the day. So it was really kind of cool. And then we gotta introduce them and play a little bit of trick on them and get the game warden to make them a little nervous at the end too. So.
Yeah.
I got a question. So tell us how your day went out there. Like what were you expecting first when you went out there?
I was expecting.
You guys have hunted before, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead then. What were you expecting?
Kind of like a clay pigeon, but not. I was expecting them to move around, but not as much as they did. Because the ducks, they would come in side to side, up and
they'd
it's
come
insane.
from behind you. They'd slide
All
side
over
swipe
the
you.
place. It was so cool to watch.
You had to have eyes on the back of your head to see where these things were coming
So
from.
how did
It
the
was
first
crazy.
shot work with you guys when you guys were out there?
I got a double on my first round.
You got 2 on your first shot?
Yes, sir.
I thought they weren't shooting good, is what you said.
No, they did okay. It was when we did the adult opener.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's been pretty dead. It was pretty dead on Overton early season. I mean, you were getting for 40 some blinds, you're getting 16 ducks on some days, and so I don't remember. Did I have Garrett or Gus? I don't even remember which
Garrett
one you had.
had me.
Yeah, so I had Garrett in the blind with me, and so shooting light, we're probably 5 or 10 minutes out from shooting light, and duck comes down and sits right on the water. I'm like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. As soon as we hear somebody shoot,
Very, very quiet.
that duck's
Yeah.
that duck's gonna want to get up off the water, and I want you to stand up and I want you to shoot it. Should have been a fairly easy shot.
You get to stand up and water swat it. Easiest shot in the book.
For a national shooter, yeah, it should have been easy.
I don't know how I missed that duck.
And it's just, I think it's sometimes.
You gonna make it feel better? Tell them what happened to us this year with those teal.
Oh yeah, so it happens to everybody, right? So we were out shooting with our good friend Rydell, and we're set up, and in the morning, first thing in the morning, it was great. We had a bunch of teal come in, and we dropped some teal, and we got a banded teal early on.
Oh wow!
And then this flock of teal comes in, and it's probably
30 to 40.
every bit of 30 to 40 strong, right? And so we all stand up and we let loose, and 30 to 40 ducks fly off. And
They landed in the decoys too. Just so we all know.
So Rydell looks at us after all these ducks fly off and says, I didn't even pick a duck.
Yeah, it's called flock shooting, and it's not effective.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
It's like if someone threw 30 to 40 clays in front of you, you just didn't aim and just shot in the
Yeah,
general direction.
It just gets tough, right? Because you don't want to shoot the same bird as somebody else is shooting.
Yep.
But you don't know which bird you're going to pick, and so it really is. It takes a lot, especially if you're not used to shooting with a group of guys. So we actually had with our friend Scott Fowler, Kody and I went out and hunted with him on Sunday, and we had some spoonies come in, and they're coming in, and we're like, we actually physically stopped and said, hey, which one are you going to take? And there were 5 spoonies, and I'm like, I was sitting on the right, Scott was sitting on the left, and Kody was sitting between us, and I'm like, I'm going to take the right side. Scott says, I'll take the left side. Well, so that kind of left Kody with shooting the middle. So
one of 3. You got.
So we dropped 3 of the 5 birds.
That's cool.
And so everybody got a bird, but it was very important because what happens is everybody, especially if there's only one drake in the mix, right? So everybody wants to shoot the drake.
Yeah.
So you just wasted all your shots on one bird, and then half of the time you're going to hit it so bad it's not going to be even usable.
Yeah, no meat salvageable.
And Scott and I did that this year. We had a bird come across, and we both fired at the same time, and it was I swear it was a mallard, but the thing exploded, and we never found it.
Never found pieces.
So it's just the way it works, and so it's important to communicate. And I think we had a good communication, we had a good plan, right? So we knew what we were going to do, what that bird was going to do was come off the water.
Right, that's essential.
And then it's just that, and it's different. It's different than a clay, because a clay is going to go, you kind of know, once you see where the clay is, you kind of know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you can lead the clay as to where to shoot.
A bird coming off the water, it can go up, down, left, right, sideways.
The duck that came off the water on adult opener, I thought it was going to kind of come up and keep going. No, it came up and veered to the left. What?
Yeah, and Kody got that experience with the youth hunt one time. We had probably 20 geese on the water, and they flew right over his head.
Yeah, like we were sitting in the blind right before shooting light. Hey, we were kind of planning on how we were going to get the geese off the back, like the far back corner of the bulrush. Hush. I saw a flock of coot just sitting maybe 10, 20 yards off the blind. And
you'll be proud, Rydell. He shot a coot.
Hey, I had to do that adult opener.
Yeah. So I shot into the flock of coot who in one shot taking out like 5 coot, and then the whole flood of geese, like maybe 30, 40 geese, he comes flying directly over us because I could not hit a single one of them.
So he used a shot, and that was planned. We wanted to shoot. I'm like, hey, go ahead and take a shot at those coots because that'll pull those ducks off the water. And so it'll push them over your head. And so he takes a shot, and I'm like, dude, he's got some geese now.
Yeah.
He's going to get 1 or probably 2. And then
they just keep
watch
going.
them say goodbye. But no, I think it's good. And I really do hope you guys enjoyed that, because it's something that you're going to do. And I'll tell you that these boys are such good young men that the preserve manager out there, somebody had come and talked to him, and he was wanting to get downsize some decoys and stuff. And so the preserve manager, the first thing he said to me when I came back in, he goes, hey, what do you think about seeing if the boys want to maybe try to get some of these decoys? And so he enjoyed the boys so much and they were so helpful and stuff that he wanted the boys to come back and hunt that preserve. He said the only bad part is it was such a long drive from him. So they drive from Pahrump to Overton is almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
And
About.
so they drove in 2 hours, and they have family up there, so they were able to come up the night before and stay and then, hunt and go home. But, they made a good impression. And that's one of the most important thing I can tell new hunters is if you're going to go out, make a good impression, make people want you to come back. And so I think everybody that interacted with you boys wanted you boys to come back. And so it's a good thing to have. And, Kody,
Even the game warden, just because he could have a good laugh out of us.
Yeah.
What do you do? I didn't hear that story.
So we brought him in, and so they go to bring their ducks in, and I'm like, so I bring the game warden in, hey, come here for a minute. And so he comes over and he's like, hey, I need to see your ducks. And they're just like, uh-oh. And so John had done really good, and John taught him how to breast a duck by stepping on their feet and yanking their wings, or I don't know.
Yeah, step on their wings and yank up with their feet.
Yeah.
Where'd it go?
It only works on coot. We found this out. It only works on coot.
Well, you shouldn't be eating coot anyways, but but no. So they kind of had everything breasted out and kind of things set aside, and they had a bag full of wings and some breast meat and stuff like that. The game warden's like, well, you're kind of missing some parts here, boys. And so he talked to him, and I will tell you that the game warden we have out at Overton this year, Wes, he's been a great game warden. Kody had a question on the license. Kody transferred from a junior to being an adult, but he still had time on that junior license,
like
right?
a half a year or some like.
So we were able to call the game warden and say, Kody called him and said, hey, this is my situation. This is what I got. Do I need to buy an adult license? And he goes, no. They wouldn't let you buy an adult license when you were youth, so you get to use that whole year's license until it runs out.
And not only that, but on top of that, he said if I had any other problems with any other of the game wardens in Nevada, to have them directly call him up.
And that's
So pro tip, buy your license right before your birthday.
yeah, and that's
Right?
You're
Yeah.
transitioning to an adult.
that's one of the good things about if you interact well with the game wardens and you kind of treat them as they're not necessarily the enemy. I mean, they're not going out there just trying to write tickets most of the time, and it's you build that good relationship, and then they can be a good resource for you in the end. But these boys understood afterwards how we do it right, so that you're required to have a wing with it. So,
Yes, sir.
And it was a teaching moment. That's what everybody
To
used
properly
it as.
identify the bird.
Yeah, and so I hope you guys had a good time there. I mean,
How did you guys feel when that game warden walked up to you?
I don't even have words.
I went ghost white and turned to Garrett.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you guys think you were busted?
I didn't know what to think because this was our first time. Like, what are we going to do?
That's the first time you ever been approached by a game warden. Then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was kind of nice to kind of see the human side of them and
Yeah,
know
it was-
that
yeah.
he wasn't trying to get you.
Yeah.
You know what? And that's one thing me and Brian have found out is the game wardens aren't trying to get you.
No, it's just part of their
you're
job.
trying to get Ron because he's pretty good.
Yeah.
If you're a big game species in the game warden, which means they know you're breaking the rules, they're going to try to get you, because, do you go after the little buck or the big buck?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can, the big buck.
You go after the big buck, right? And so,
Yeah.
people that are obeying the rules and trying to do good and helping the game warden out, they don't want to get you. You're a little buck. But if you're messing up and you got that big old rack on you, oh, man, they're going to target you.
Yeah.
And, it makes sense. Now, excuse me. Explain your first shot. You said you shot a double, so what exactly happened?
So I had two widgeon coming in straight at us, and I don't remember if it was you or what was the other dude?
John.
John.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was you or John that just shouted, "Shoot!" And I already had two loaded in. I stood up, closed it, shouldered, boom, got the one on the left. I didn't even look to see if I hit it. I swiveled to the right, boom. The other one just keeps going and it lands in
The back pond.
yeah. And the first one literally lands like almost on top of us.
Yeah?
And John looks at me, "You got a double."
Why didn't you pull the trigger?
Because I was Keeping my sights on the raft of coot. Hopefully, watching the live decoys.
Right, Dell, I think you got a new fan, buddy.
Yeah,
You're focused on the coots then, huh?
I got
Did you see him before they came in?
The coot or the widgeon?
The widgeon. Well, yeah, the widgeon.
The widgeon came from across the pond at us.
So were you looking at it, or were you tucked down below the blind?
tucked down
I
low.
was just looking at him through the bill of my hat, pretty much.
Okay.
So
Well, that's awesome. And then what else happened after that? So you got the 2 widgeon, then what
I
happened?
got, I think, 4 coot and a ruddy.
and then
Yeah.
And those are all this puddle swats, right?
Yeah.
Water blasts. Okay.
I had him go out of the blind because we weren't being very productive. There was very
Well, that's
limited.
not very good mentoring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man.
They stayed within 100 feet. Continue
Oh, yeah.
the story.
but I had him go out just to see if he could get any birds because he was the only one that had waders at the time. And he comes back with 3 coots in his hand. I went out with Gus to go and see if we can get him anything else for the morning. And I look out in the middle of the pond. There's just something sitting there, not doing anything. I walk like halfway through the pond
I'd say 200 yards or so out
Yep.
there.
in like
And he
chest
comes-
deep water.
He comes back with this coot. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Like
I wouldn't have been sorry. I'd be like, "Oh, sucker, my good duck dog."
Right, I was watching him go out, and I'm like, his thighs are gonna be hurting so bad tomorrow morning.
Did you whistle at him and go back, back?
No, I didn't. I should have.
No, that happened to me this season, dude. We were out on Connecticut, and it was all frozen, and there's this one duck just sitting on the edge of the ice, Brian. Man, it was. You weren't with me because it was a weekday. It was sitting on the edge of the ice. We watched it all morning, and finally I go, Todd, I'm gonna get out there and get that duck. And so I wandered all the way out there, and I picked up my decoy and brought it back. And it was a coot decoy and blown out. It was a long walk. It was like halfway across the lake. So with that, you guys ended up with 2 widgeon, 1 ruddy. Did you end up with any other good ducks?
I think a pintail was it that I got?
Or I think there was a teal as well.
Yeah, you got at
Yeah,
least
that's-
one.
So
Yeah,
how did the
teal.
teal and the pintail happen?
It wasn't a pintail, just a teal.
Yeah,
that was
teal.
his.
Okay.
That was another double, and I missed the. I think it was the second shot I missed, but
That one landed in the bushes. You had to go crawling around in that.
Yeah,
So you had to go dig through the bushes to find
Yes,
it?
sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's good to have a
Well,
dog.
and I tried to get their dad to come out and hunt with us, but their mom threatened me that if I got him into another hobby, that she would find somebody
Yeah.
to kill me. So
That sounds like her.
Now, you guys have done other hunting before, right? What other hunting have you guys done?
Mostly mule deer. Just last year we did some elk hunting, but it's like 90% mule deer.
and
How
then
successful have you been on the mule deer?
Pretty successful because our
that's pretty successful. We've had 5-6 tags. We've only filled 1.
well, I guess it's
You know,
successful
it
once.
depends. Yeah, it depends on the area.
That's still
Our
like
fir-
20%, man.
Our first tag filled was with archery.
Just right up here on Mount Charleston.
Oh, you
That's where
guys
we're-
drew.
Was that a youth tag?
Youth
or-
tag,
yes,
youth
sir.
tag for both of us.
That's a tough tag to draw, man.
Yeah.
Not
You guys
Charleston's
filled
a
one
good
tag
area.
with archery?
Two.
Two.
We filled both of ours.
We each got one.
Well, what do you got?
A
An
buck
antelope
or
too,
no?
right?
Yes, sir. I got an
Both
antelope.
bucks. I got a
2 or 3
2x3.
years
He
ago.
got a
You got your
4x4.
phones on you?
Yes, sir.
Shoot a picture to Brian on Messenger. Or
We do not have Messenger.
Yeah, I don't do that. So send
Yeah,
it to
forward
Kody.
them to
Kody
me
can
and
send
I'll
it to me.
forward them.
We'll go convoluted. But one of you got an antelope, right?
Yeah, he
Yes,
did
sir.
that.
And then you got an elk this year too, right? One of you got
Yes,
an
sir.
elk.
That would be him.
So
what kind of elk did you get? Is it a cow?
No, sir. A bull.
What? Yeah, send all those pictures to Kody real quick. Let's put them up on the screen here. But, okay. So where'd you get your bull at?
Once Tabletop Mountain.
Outside his home, I think it's 162 area.
162 or 163. I don't remember which.
Okay. So what's the difference? What do you think the difference between big game hunting and duck hunting is? Which one do you like more?
It depends on.
The walking around, I like duck hunting because you just sit there. Like our elk, we put on some serious miles in the backcountry.
Yes.
And for deer, we'd have to walk up to the back and forth from the blind, and then track said deer after we had made the shot. But duck is a lot better because you just shoot it and you go find it. Well, it depends on where it lands, but still.
Well, I think what I like about duck hunting is it's kind of social because you can kind of talk. You don't have to be super quiet, and everybody's kind of close to each other. So I think for me, that's what I enjoy about it. But everybody kind of has their own take on it. But I think that's what I hear most about duck hunting is everybody likes the fact that they can talk to each other.
Yeah, so, like deer and elk, you have to be not really elk, but deer. If you're sitting in the blind, you have to be dead quiet because the hearing on a deer is insane. And even if they hear you, they look at you, and you can be as still as possible. They will still bust you by especially the does. The does are so wily. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I think that's a big thing about duck hunting. So you guys said you went out quite a bit chasing animals, for deer and stuff. And you recently were successful with 2 bucks and an elk. But to be honest, Brian, this youth opener, it wasn't the best. Am I right?
No, this was a really, really bad youth opener. It was... the ducks were not here yet. So most of the times with the youth opener, we got quite a few teal in. We'll have a lot of cinnamons in usually. We'll have the resident mallards and stuff come in. And most of the kids have a pretty good chance to harvest. This year, I would say 80 or 90% of the groups harvested nothing.
Oh, wow.
There were only...
So those to be a messenger, Kody.
2 groups that... I think harvested multiple ducks, and it was you guys, and then another group that was a little bit older. And I think that that was with Goalie. I think did Goalie.
Yeah, that was Goalie with my boy.
Yeah, Nick Goalie. They harvested a couple ducks. Actually, there might have been 3 different groups that harvested, but for most of it was either they got 1 duck that was probably a coot or nothing. So
walking out there to the blind, you could hear the geese on the water. So I was so hoping we'd get a goose that day.
Yeah, the geese are I don't know, they're kind of finicky out there. A little bit early season, but they kind of have their pattern, right? And so they'll go sit
at the golf course.
Well, no, they'll sit in Jason's field from Beck Sunglasses, so where that Beck Sunglasses building is.
Yeah.
They'll go sit in there, and I have tried everything to get Jason to let me on that field to hunt those geese. And he's like, my neighbors would kill me if you shot their geese.
They would not like it.
So they do that. They hang out there. They go to there's that mine across the street from the game preserve.
Yeah.
They'll go into there and kind of loaf on those ponds. They'll go out to the lake. And then if they're going to come into Overton, they'll come in, late morning sometimes.
Yeah, there was one person at Honeybee who dropped a goose.
Yeah.
That was the Houts.
Yeah, the Houts do pretty good.
They own that WMA.
Yeah, they dropped a ton of geese this weekend. So
yeah, they're one of the best hunters on that WMA. No, so my point being is like duck hunting, even a bad day for a big game hunter, duck hunting is still a good day.
Yeah.
Like you guys are probably still super happy, and everybody's like, "It sucks out here today." And you're like, "What are you talking about, man?"
Right?
Yeah.
I slaughtered the coots.
Yeah.
I had a great time, And you're like, all you do is you walk, you sit down, and you hang out with your buddies. Like Scott said, he shot that mallard while you and Kody were watching TikToks.
we were sitting there watching the duck circle. And John literally busted out this burrito.
No, that's funny. Yeah, we did. We were hunting. Kody hunted Sunday, and Scott was with us, and Scott had a couple goals. Told us at the beginning of the day, he goes, "I want to shoot a spoonie today." And we're like, "Okay." And then his other goal was, "I want to." We knew we'd wanted a greenhead all season, so first thing in the morning he shoots a green wing, and then spoonies come in. And we dropped 3 beautiful spoonie drakes.
That's cool.
And so he was so excited, man. He goes, I'm going to get this mounted. And then it was the very next duck was, we were kind of fiddling around. It was dead. There was nothing flying. We were fiddling around with TikTok. And all of a sudden I look over and I'm like, Scott, you better shoot that. That's a greenhead. Scott, that's a greenhead. You better shoot that. and he shot it. And he didn't hear me say it was a greenhead.
Oh.
And so he drops it. He goes out in the water, and man, it was like a little 2-year-old in the candy store, man. He was jumping and pumping his fist.
Like he didn't fall over in the water.
So
that almost happened to me.
His 2 gold ducks. He got the one for the day, and then he got the greenhead that he's shot a couple greenheads this year. To be fair, he shot a couple of them, and he just we would lose them.
We shot him on high brush.
Yeah, we shot in a really bad spot where the dog couldn't even find them.
Oh wow!
They would just lose. It was a really weird spot, but it was or a ton of mallards. So I think he got a mallard, but he never recovered the mallard that he got.
Okay, that's what it is.
It wasn't for lack of effort. We don't leave anything out there, but like
Yeah,
we dug through that stuff for quite a bit with the dog and couldn't find it. No, that's awesome, man. That's something I love about duck hunting. It seems like it's a lot more social hunt.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, you get a lot more action. Like, I mean, you guys probably shot like at least 25 shots.
Just about, probably, and with the youth and adult opener together, probably.
Yeah, 25. I mean, how many shots did you shoot with the deer?
40.
One arrow.
We're not going to talk about the antelope.
Let's talk. Put the
Well,
antelope.
look
Let's
at the
talk about
antelope.
the
How
antelope.
about the antelope right there?
So who's this? Is this Gus or Garrett?
That's Gus.
Gus.
Gus, man. That's a pretty.
Can't you
big
tell that's
one.
Gus? How can you not tell that's Gus?
Man, I don't know. They're so distinguishable.
16 inches from base to the tip of the curl.
Really, where'd you get that at? What
Just
part?
outside of Rachel.
Okay, awesome,
Like,
man.
literally a stone's throw away.
I've seen those antelope going to Tonopah.
What'd you chum it with?
I know the family name for the firearm, but I don't remember.
Corn.
Corn.
What? We call it the Queen Bee. I think it's a 7 mag. It's our mom's rifle. I can't remember.
A
for sure.
708 probably.
So that's your mom's antelope? Is that what you're saying?
No.
She shot her up with it. That same rifle.
7 maybe.
Yeah, it's probably.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And that was your tag you drew then, huh?
No, that's his. Like that's all his.
Is it? Okay.
I wasn't there for that
Yeah,
time.
so we showed up. We left Friday afternoon, got to a buddy's place, and well, not even Friday afternoon. Like Friday noon, we left Vegas and got to Alamo. Yeah, Alamo,
Right up, yeah, that's where they were saying.
and we tried to get the late afternoon hunting. We didn't got about an hour or so into cruising around. We checked out a couple guzzlers and such, and we're cruising the highway, and all three of us look over, and there's a herd of antelope, 3 great bucks, 2 or 3 small ones, and a handful of does. And my dad goes, "Gus, jump out of the truck." And our buddy pulls over. I hop out with the rifle and the shooting sticks. And out there, it's barren wasteland. There's nothing to hide behind.
There's not even creosote. Man.
Yeah, no.
No. And the
And-
sagebrush is like knee high to a grasshopper.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's
And
like ankle height, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the road is like not divot, laid into the ground a little. So there's like a foot or so of where I can crouch, but they can still see me. It's not like I'm.
And
wearing
there's a giant
full-
truck next to you.
Yeah. Well, they kept driving, so they wouldn't think something's up.
That's the
And-
trick with the antelope. You drop the guy off, and the truck keeps driving, so the antelope wash that truck.
Yeah.
Although it kind of helps when you have some sort of cover too.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And we had radios. I'm sitting there, have shooting stick set up, rifle set up, and I'm scoping them out. My dad comes on the radio. "Dude, they're walking away from you. Get back in the truck." And truck comes back. I hop in. We take this dirt road up, and by now the antelope know we're coming for them, because then they're like running in all directions pretty
Yeah.
much. And so we go ahead and I jump out of the truck again. I'm standing next to the road, shooting sticks up. My dad, he has the binoculars up. He's like, "The one on the far right, that looks like the best buck." Boom! Straight over his back. He just stands there. Boom! I hit him like gut shot. You can see it hit him, but he didn't drop. So he takes a couple steps. Another shot. This goes on for like half an hour.
Yeah.
12 shots
Yeah,
later.
12 shots later, he's finally on the ground.
That was an expensive antelope.
Yeah, pretty much.
But they got it done in a weekend. So they weren't
Not
up there
even a
for-
weekend, a day.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Antelope hunts are like this. And so this is the mule deer
That's me again.
that's the archery mule deer.
Yeah.
Well,
And
go
then
back
this
that one,
is
Ron.
Gus's archery
This
mule
is
deer.
Garrett's.
Garrett's.
Garrett.
This,
The other kid.
And now you're shooting turkeys too? Where'd you get these turkeys at?
this is my turkey from the wildlife preserve in Moapa Valley.
Okay, you
Yeah.
got a youth tag then?
Yeah, I got a youth tag.
This kid drew one of 3 youth tags in the state of Nevada.
Yep. And
What
Dad,
a
it was
punk.
kind of funny because Dad's like laughing about it. He's like, I put in for it for a joke. I didn't expect to get anything. And Mom was so mad at him that we were spending Easter hunting turkeys, and she's like a sole believer that turkeys do not live in Nevada. So Easter Day, I shot a turkey.
You know, and that's the cool thing is these
Just to prove
turkeys.
her wrong, huh, man?
Yeah.
So
It was an Easter turkey.
yeah,
Yeah.
these turkeys were actually imported into Overton from, I think it was up in northern Nevada, up around the Reno area, but they have become they're non-typicals, so that strain of turkeys is produced a lot of non-typical birds. And they've pulled several state non-typical records out of Overton.
Oh wow, that's cool.
That's pretty cool.
Turkey is, I think, the second toughest draw in the state of Nevada. So there's only
Right next to bear.
there for Overton. There's there's 9 adult tags in Overton and 3 youth tags.
3 youth tags.
And then there's like another dozen up in Alamo, and there's another spattering up as you go north. And then the bear is the absolute toughest.
Yeah.
There's just no tags to get. So
I mean, you have to be pretty devoted to willingly go after one of those things, though.
A bear?
Yeah.
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 I don't know, man. Bear. I don't know. Maybe go watch some more YouTube. It seems like everybody likes bear hunting.
yeah, bear hunting. I mean, people enjoy the bear hunting, and it depends on how you do it. Some people use dogs, some people don't.
Yeah.
They kept it legal in Nevada to use dogs because of the way they're used. But
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, the bear hunts. I mean, that's a good hunt just because it can be an exciting hunt. You can do a lot of things, and bear meat's actually a really good meat. I enjoy bear meat. But Kody got my wife's family and Cody's grandpa. That they all do a lot of bear hunting, and they do bear, moose, elk.
Moose, wolf, elk.
Wow.
Wow.
So in Idaho, you have a little bit more opportunity. In Idaho, you kind of get a 4 for 1. So if you get
Yeah,
a deer
Idaho.
tag and you find an elk, you can take an elk and then just go pay them $20 and get another tag. And
Oh,
so
wow.
You get one of each species, so you get deer, elk, bear, and wolf. So you can have one of each of those on your license for the
Yeah,
year.
our
So-
uncle was telling us how you can literally go in and pretty much just buy a book of all the tags that they have there.
Yeah, and Cody.
That's
So
kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Cody got sent up there for a hunt, and he got whitetail and
Yeah, this pretty decent whitetail doe. So that was definitely one experience. Hence, we spent literally the whole entire week trying to find me this whitetail. But like the first day we're walking through the Potlatch territory and right next to Winchester, Idaho, and we're walking through all this clear cut with some pretty nasty big logs still just falling down, and just this herd of 5 or 6 spikes walks up. I was offered the opportunity to take them. I was like, no, I really wanted to see if I could get a better buck.
Yeah.
At the end of the week, literally a day and a half before I was about to leave to go back to fly home, I got this doe. I was maybe 2 ridge lines over her.
Oh.
It was a 400-yard shot. Lined up. I didn't think to adjust because she was maybe 300 yards down this hill.
Wow.
And everything just perfectly lines up, and she turns, looks up the hill, starts walking up as I pull the trigger, right through the back of the head.
Ooh.
yeah,
That's one way
What
to
do
do
they
it.
say? Like, don't pass the first day, but you shoot on the last day.
yeah. It's funny because it's Cody's. Their family does. They call it.
The camp bitch.
Yeah, and so the deal is, so once you shoot your animal, you're safe. But once somebody else shoots the animal, now you're doing all the chores for everybody until somebody else shoots the animal.
How it is like the person right after you're kind of their slave for however long until the next
And they
animal
put your
shot.
name and your animal and the year on an apron. So Cody waits till the very last day of the hunt and gets his animals. So guess what?
And I have the biggest guy in camp.
That's how you do it.
No, it's great. So it's one thing about hunting is it brings people together, and you get to spend time with family and friends.
Yeah,
and,
it's not. It's usually. It shouldn't be about the meat or the trophy. It should be about the memories that you make while out being out there.
no, absolutely. I know your sister went up and had a pretty miserable hunt this year.
We saw so many deer, but she with her 6.5 Creedmoor, we just couldn't get close enough to seal the deal. It saw some beautiful deer, and it was so cool just to stand there and watch them.
I think what the real deal was, because I kind of heard from your dad what the real deal was, is you boys wanted to go to the adult opener, and your sister was saying the way you go into the adult opener, so you talked her into going home early.
So
That's what I heard.
I wasn't there for this. He was.
Yeah, Gus was at home, but she said, if you get me a deer, you guys can go. And then like a few days before we would have gone home, she's like, I don't want to sit in this cold anymore.
That's a story I'd tell too.
Did both of you guys go to the adult opener?
Yes, we both
Yes.
did.
Okay, so one of you jumped in with Brian,
That would be me.
and then who did you go with?
John.
How was it, man?
We got another 2 wins and another.
Mallard. You guys got a female mallard.
Hen Mallard.
Hen mallard.
And then Kody, were you with him on that adult opener?
No, that was the one day that I was sick.
So Kody was sick, and I actually felt like garbage that morning, so I was going to go. I just went to just see if John could take both of the boys just to make sure they got the opportunity. I don't want to sit in a blind with anybody else and get them sick or anything. And we get there, and they're like, well, you can only have one substitution, so...
And then you just happened to have your shotgun in your truck.
No, actually, I didn't. I didn't have a gun with me, I don't think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you had to borrow a gun.
No, you had yours in the back.
Oh, maybe I did. Yeah, but we didn't have much. We didn't have decoys. I didn't bring
No,
decoys
yeah,
with
we
me.
had to
That's what it
borrow.
was.
But I had my shotgun was loaded in my truck from something else. We were probably up at Sunnyside or something hunting. So I happened to have a gun. I didn't have any decoys because I wasn't going to hunt. So we had to borrow decoys from Scott to be able to go hunt that day. So
You don't live that far away, man.
He does it in all
No, that's
honesty.
true. That's true. He made it happen. Where was I at? I was hunting somewhere else probably that day.
you were with your...
Chasing coot.
I don't know where you were.
Chasing
Probably in Utah
Kilo.
with your dad.
Hey, so did you hear what happened to me during my opener?
No, sir.
I brought a crap load of kids. I made them all myself. And they grew bigger, and I put them in the blind with me. But I brought a...
Feed the miracle, bro.
Yeah, I feed them. I feed them real well. Well, my wife feeds them real well. We bring all these kids and we shove them in this little box. And they're just hooting and hollering. Because Endell gave them all kazoos before we start. And so I have
That's a recipe for disaster.
5-year-old, 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 10-year-old.
Oh,
Right? That's who I had.
Right? Was that my first year as well?
No, you shot with...
Cody, I don't know what you complain about, man. I got you playing ducks later. So anyway, this is my story. Stop trying to make it about you. It got bad though. So we get up there, and the only one that can really shoot is my daughter, my 10-year-old. So we have a duck land in the water. I'm like, get it on me. She's like, I can't see it. I can't see it. Quack, 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 quack. Boom. That doesn't hit anything. I don't know what she's shooting at. Anyways,
She's shooting at you.
at that point, I'm like, this is bull honky. It's time to go home. But I just sit there anyways and like let the kids watch TikToks and blow on their duck calls. It sounded like a clown circus in there. And then all of a sudden, there's this bee just smacking me in the face.
Oh.
And I'm like, what is this? And it stings me. And then Obvi's like, there's a bee on me. And then Xander's like, there's a bee on me. There's a beehive underneath the blind.
Oh, no.
And so Xander takes one to the neck. I take one to the face. And we run out of there and like pack everything, and like I call Cam. Cam's like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Do you want to switch blinds? I was like, no, I want to go home. And so Cam foamed in that beehive and helped me pack all my stuff in my trailer. And we went back, and it was nice going back because what happened when I got back, man? Endell had breakfast.
Yeah,
for me
there
and
was
the kids.
breakfast. There was food to eat, baby.
Dude, we were out there so long we missed breakfast.
yeah, we missed the brunch. But there was a trap thrower at the end of it. I was happy
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
no, that was a really cool thing. So our friend John Scalen, man, he stepped up, and so we got a lot of donations through when Wildlife Habitat Improvement Nevada. They get donated some money. A friend of ours donated some money from his company to help with the kids, and
John Hymas at High Rock Construction.
yeah, High Rock Construction, man, he's awesome. And so we were able to go and get some prizes and stuff. And then John Scalen shows up at the last minute with a brand new skeet thrower.
It's only thrown one clay.
Yeah, and so the cool thing was the boys won it, and so that was part of the raffle that they won. And we can't forget Arms Corps Rock Island Armory, our friends over there, man. They always
Those were some
step
nice
up.
shotguns.
And so they gave away a shotgun to one of the kids, and it just so happened to be Benny's daughter. So, the game preserve manager's daughter got it. Just the way it works. But these guys got a
Ever
skeet
since
thrower.
then, John gets.
Yeah.
What's the guy, Sean?
Sean
always gets ball number one
Yeah, he
for some
throws
reason. I don't
ball
know how
number
that
one.
works.
Now he's tipping them off instead of you, Brad.
Yeah, exactly. No, but then the cool thing was the boys have a skeet thrower, and they have one that they're using. We're like, hey, we're going to probably donate this to our 4-H group, so they have an extra. So, it's just awesome. So John stepped up, and everybody steps up and gives back, and
That was pretty cool.
yeah,
It was really fun.
and so we're doing a closer. So we will do another one, but this one will be a little different. So we got a gun. Sean at Arms Corps Rock Island Armory.
He's donating
donate
two
another
guns
gun.
this year.
We're gonna have more money from Wildlife Habitat Improvement Nevada, but this time it's from the Youth Sportsman's Program. So they're one of the key sponsors of it. We have our friend Ruben coming back to do a duck call contest. So he's gonna.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're gonna have some prizes and stuff for the duck call contest, and
I don't think you're allowed to enter.
No, but I was number 2 from last year.
He finished number 2 in the open division last year.
Oh,
and then,
wow.
Then
Jason Mace.
Jason Mace with Ducks Unlimited, Southern Nevada Ducks Unlimited, has some duck calls, so everybody should be able to walk away with a really sweet Ducks Unlimited.
Oh,
duck
that's
call.
cool.
So it'll be awesome. So you guys will have to come back out for that one and see if you guys can.
That'll be fun.
Miss a bunch and shoot a bunch more coots.
And if the,
Don't help your friend with the Hawks.
Oh
out.
yeah.
and if the Ducks are like acting like they are right now, the closer's gonna be much better.
yeah, it'll be
Yes, this year the closer should be amazing.
And
That's going to be cool.
Knock on wood.
last year during the closer, Kody went out with a bunch of his buddies. He went with Tyler Rowley. He went out with Randy from my office.
Yes.
And they
We had
shot cinnamon tail,
We had an amazing hunt that.
which might not be big for you guys, but it's a big deal to shoot a cinnamon tail in Southern Nevada.
Yes,
Sorry, go ahead, Kody.
That day was absolutely amazing. I didn't get too many shots off, but it was just absolutely cool to see two of what are my best friends get some amazing birds. Both of them got a cinnamon teal. There was like 3 or 4 more her green wings. There was, I think, another widgeon. There was a bunch of birds. on
That's
the ground.
cool.
And Kody got a couple of birds, and it was kind of cool for me because I got so you're required to have an adult in the blind with you, so I got to be the adult in that blind, which that's kind of stretching it a little bit, I think. But, not only did I get
We
a
give
hunt,
Brian a fake gun so he can still pop up with everybody.
yeah,
Elmer Fudd up in there.
not only did I get a hunt with my son on his last opportunity to do youth hunt, but I got a hunt with Tyler, which was one of Ron and I's Cub Scouts or Boy Scouts, and so to kind of get him in a blind and get a hunt with those guys, and then Randy from here, we've hunted with Randy. Ron and I have hunted with Randy a couple times. One was the most miserable hunt I've ever been on in my entire life.
And he wore like little cloth shoes.
He wore Vans to go duck hunting
Oh, bro.
in like 15 degrees.
And like the
right?
water froze in front of us. Like we threw decoys and like water, and we pulled decoys out of ice.
Oh,
And Ron's like, we're like probably 45 minutes, maybe an hour into the hunt. No, we were probably 2 hours into the hunt. It was so miserable. And people were sky busting. We didn't even get birds that would work into us. And Ron's like, hey, are you about done? I'm like, dude, I packed up 30 minutes ago.
Oh, this is when you told us you put your gun away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put my gun back in the case, and I just sat there and went to sleep.
We got sky busted 2 or 3 times on the adult opener. We had the geese circling. And then they just came in right on a string, and then they got sky busted.
Well, and then Garrett got to experience the true the absolute true Overton experience. So
Yes,
we had a guy that
You
was.
got 100%, huh?
Oh yeah, he was killing coyotes or rabbits or
He had the
something.
clown kazoo out, huh?
Oh,
Yeah.
it-
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
he did.
like the murdering clown kazoo. That was
Yeah.
the worst duck call I've ever heard in my entire
We
life.
had one guy that was off in the distance we could hear.
He blew.
Probably next to us.
He blew for 2 hours solid.
And he had a set of pipes on him, huh?
Oh yeah, he did. So
I've been practicing all off season. His
Dude, Ron got to the point where as we were walking
John.
out, John, I'm sorry. He got to the point where as we were walking out, he just shouted, "Pocket that thing!"
yeah, so they got the experience, but it's still. I mean, anytime you get out in a duck blind, it's a good place to be. And you guys have actually done pretty good for your first couple times. I mean, we got some ducks, and at least we got to shoot some coots.
You know what? If I go out on Overton and someone does a sky bus or a bad call in front of me, I think I might be out there
Yeah.
on the wrong day, man.
We're
I
like,
go, am I
this
hunting
not a
on an
hunt
odd
day?
day or what happened?
This must not be a hunt day because the idiots aren't out today.
Yeah. Especially if it's on a weekend.
But that's part of hunting public land, and it's not just there. Ron and I hunted some public land earlier this year and talked to a guy in the parking lot. We're like, hey, we're already set up over there. We already got guys set up over there. Why don't you go across? Because
it was
the
going
ducks
to be
will come
packed. We're like, hey, there's a lot of people on this bank. You know,
And-
I've already got a guy here. I've already got 3 guys down the road. Like, here's another good spot. This should work for you.
And the guy's like, nope, I'm hunting right where I want to hunt. And
Ooh.
so he set up close enough to us. When he shot his duck,
His only ducky shot.
his only duck, our dog was starting to go after his duck.
Oh wow.
So
Like, our dog watched it drop and broke for the duck.
yeah, we had to yell at the dog and bring it back. But that's just part of it, right? So it's a frustration of it.
Yeah.
And as a new hunter, I mean, there's so much to think about as a new hunter. It could be a little bit of overload, right? Because you're trying to get a good shot, and how
Yeah.
far do I lead them?
Yeah, it was crazy though. For our elk hunt, our dad was out of town when I got my shot. He wasn't even with us. It was just Garrett and I for the elk hunt.
So you're
Oh, nice, man.
saying that your dad was bad luck, and once he left, then you could actually get an elk, right? Is that what I heard?
No, he just.
Oh, you want to eat tomorrow? Oh,
Yeah. There you go. Well, mom cooks.
oh,
Mom cooks.
but dad pays for the groceries, right?
does.
Yeah,
Dad puts gas in the truck for hunting.
Exactly.
Yeah. There you go.
So, you guys were out by yourself when you shot that elk, huh?
Yeah, he had to come back into town to do some errands, and he gave us what he would do, and so we followed that basic plan. And we were gonna. He told us to come back towards camp and set up on this wallow, probably about a few hundred yards.
literally, you could from camp you could see the wall we were set up on.
We were gonna set up on, and we were sitting there, probably about 2:00 in the afternoon. I don't know, a mile or so from camp, mile or two. And we're packing our bows on our packs and getting our trekking poles out so we can start the trek back to be at that wallow at 4 and sit on there till sunset. And we're putting them on, and I look out across, and I see a cow elk walking out of the brush. I'm like, dude, no, Gus spots it because we had a little pact of like, you spot it, you put a stalk on it. You're going to be the one that shoots it while the other one calls. So he spots it, and we start glassing, like 3 or 4 cows pop out, and then his elk pops in. And he bugles, and I just start shaking because the adrenaline. I'm like,
The
oh my
adrenaline
gosh.
immediately kicked in.
So I grab my diaphragm and bugle tube, and I let one rip, and he answers back. And I'm like, what?
We're in
What is
business,
happening?
yeah.
It was like a moment of truth where has my practicing paid off enough that they will think I'm an elk and will answer back to me. And we start hauling down
We
this.
didn't even finish packing up properly. We didn't even put everything back in the proper place. We just stuffed it in the bag and took off.
Yeah, so they were going down to water, probably about half mile from where we originally saw them. And so we're like, we're going to cut them off. We bounced down this hill.
We literally ran down this hill.
Yeah, and I'm calling. He is answering. I'm squeaking at him, bugling. Cows are squeaking back at me as well. I'm like, okay, this is going to be perfect. And we get down there, and it starts to sound like his bugles are getting away from us. So then Gus is like, move up, move up, move up.
Yeah, I kept waving him. Let's move up. Let's
So
move up.
we ended up kept moving up. We go, I don't know, a couple hundred yards. And we jumped this spike that was completely silent this whole time, this little spike. And we jump him up like 100 yards, and he takes off. I'm like, perfect. Maybe we could try and call this little guy in. And we set up, and he sets up on this little patch of aspens.
Like I was at the edge of a clearing, and the clearing was like 30 yards across or so.
And I set up farther downhill to try and draw that elk past Gus.
Like for elk hunting, they say you don't want to draw the elk to the hunter. You want to draw the elk through the hunter. That way, the elk thinks it's walking. Like the elk isn't looking for you
Where the hunter is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I was set up further downhill, and I let out a bugle.
The crazy thing is, though, as I was getting set up, I knocked an arrow, and then I looked up, and I saw the bull pushing 3 cows straight through the trees. He was already right there.
And him and I ended up talking back and forth, probably 45 minutes to an hour of me walking back and forth in these trees, beating these trees and walking, bugling and cow squeaking at him. And the point was to make him mad enough that I wasn't coming up there to fight him, to make him want to come fight me. And finally, I never heard him shoot, A, because it's a bow, and B,
I was gonna say,
yeah,
kind of a little difficult.
Yeah.
and because
Because he was like 50, 60 yards downhill.
yeah, and at this point, I'm running back and forth for so long, I ended up running out of water, so I had to go down that quarter mile to get water, and then come back up after we had shot him to start skinning him. But I'm calling, and I'm like in the middle of bugling. Gus just like pokes his head. I'm like, come here. And I get up there, and he points. He's laying down. I'm like, no way, this actually works. No way.
It gets better though, because before that, so I'm sitting there. I'm pretty much leaning up against this aspen. There's like 2 trees in front of me, then the clearing, and I'm seeing him push cows back and forth. He's screaming his head off, and just thinking about it, I get the adrenaline coming back to me. And so then he starts making his way to Garrett, and he's not coming in on a line. He's weaving his way through the trees. He's just picking his path. He's meandering towards Garrett.
But the scary thing was, the wind wasn't entirely in our favor. It was kind of going uphill at an angle. So if he would have kept walking,
If he would have walked to where he ended up dying, he would have winded us. And sorry. And so literally I'm watching him push cows back and forth, and then he just starts
meandering.
meandering in. It's to the point where he turns his head sideways and squeezes in between these 2 aspens, and I watch them bow out and shake. And the most cover I have is this little like 4 foot tall
2 trees in front of you.
You're not a fan of cover, are you?
Yeah, with his antelope, I'm getting it now.
Yeah. He walks behind this dead bush. That's the most cover I have to draw back. And he's still like 60 yards out. He's walking towards me. I'm at full draw for like a minute and a half.
He's probably exaggerating, but let's go with that.
You weren't there, man.
Yeah.
I think it was 3 minutes.
You didn't even hear the bow go off.
Yeah.
So
You were beating on trees.
I was trying to bugle while run with a backpack on, and it sounded like a baby warbling. Like I started bugling, whoa, 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 whoa. And Dad and I were talking after that. He's like, Dad, who knows? That elk might have like looked down like, this dude means business.
And so the full draw, he's coming in, and he steps into the clearing, and everything looks bigger as it's coming in. He looks like 4 feet across, massive bull coming in. And I was ranging bushes and stuff in the clearing, and he passed the tree 30 yards. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm waiting for him to get closer and closer. I'm like, okay, any minute he's gonna like step perfectly. And he was quartering to me so hard that literally I had a perfect bread basket shot. And I cow mew at him. He stops, picks his head up, and like stares at me like, what was that? And I shoot, but with how heavy our arrows were, literally I could have tapped the release, and then took off running and slapped him before my arrow got there.
Yeah.
And because I shot and
He's not really exaggerating on that part.
the bull heard the thunk of my bowstring hitting the stopper, and he goes to pivot and take off running, and I end up hitting him far back, top the lung and liver, and he's knocking over trees and everything trying to get out. Then he just stops. Garrett keeps calling. I'm cow squeaking, trying to hopefully get him back, because in my head I'm like, okay, I hit nothing, and he's just standing there like, what was that? And finally I see him sway. I'm like, okay, maybe I hit something. Then he lays down. I'm shaking so bad I have to put my bow down before I drop it. I run down to Garrett, just about trip on 2 different trees.
It was kind of funny to watch.
Yeah. I get to him. Garrett's in mid-bugle. I'm like, Garrett. He stops, looks at me. What are you doing? I wave him up. He's like, what happened? You miss? Or did you just walk off? I point. All I did was point. He looks through the trees, and his face goes white eyes. And he looks at me. No way.
Yeah.
So did he squeal like a schoolgirl?
No, but he was about there.
I almost fell over, though, from the adrenaline.
He was shaking like a leaf on a tree. He was shaking bad.
Pretty awesome, and that's you get the fever a little bit, right? So
Yeah.
you get that adrenaline rush, and I think the cool thing about ducks a little bit is so you get to shoot more than
Once.
Yeah.
right? So you kind of get that adrenaline rush, but by the time you hunt for the day, you shot so much that it's kind of like, okay, so you can kind of control it a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I've been here before, I've done this before, so
Right.
it's not as bad, but you still get it. I mean,
It still is bad.
What were?
I mean, it's not a big dump like an elk, but it is.
Yeah.
It's a constant little hit.
well, yeah, and
It's
that's
like puffing on a cigarette, I think. I don't know, I never smoked. But
it's like drinking whiskey for rum.
that's probably like an
Hackaday
elk.
smoker.
No, but no, and that's the cool thing is you get that experience, and people talk about, the negative part of the hunting world is you're killing an animal, but for most people it's a lot more than that. So it's everything that leads up to that moment. And to be honest, my least favorite moment of a hunt is the harvest portion of the hunt, right? So
Yeah, especially with the elk, it was so cool to watch them.
it's the skill it takes to get to where you are. It takes an awful lot.
In all honesty, my favorite part of the hunt, though, was probably 1 or 2 parts. When we got to the top of the trailhead, about half a mile from camp, I call out on the radio, and Dad, he said he was just falling asleep, and like
It's 2:00 in the morning at this point.
Oh,
yeah, and just like a dream, he heard his call sign. He snaps awake. He fumbled for the radio. He's like, "Yeah, who are you?" At the top of the trailhead, got the back strap and neck roast. He calls back, "From what?" Because
from a rabbit.
because literally when
We had our deer tags at the same time as well. We had deer tags open then. That was why.
Okay.
and literally I got the shot, and then we sent a message to Mom and Dad, but Dad had just got out of cell service.
We had this little satellite thing with Zolio that we were able to text with Mom and Dad when he had service. So that was really helpful.
That's pretty.
So who are you radioing to?
We
Silence. No one until we got to we were trying to reach out, but our ham radios, we were only able to reach out like half mile with them.
Yeah.
So we had to get fairly close to Dad before we were able to reach out with him.
Okay, cool. That's awesome, man.
But yeah, best part of the hunt was either him going, "From what?" or when we got to camp and just seeing the look on his face.
He was so happy.
That's awesome.
He was so happy.
I just got your dad. I'd be pretty proud to have you boys go up and do it kind of on your own. Not needing his help. It's kind of a bittersweet moment for a dad because
Yeah.
you want to be there to experience it, but at the same point, it's pretty
He told
cool.
us before he left that it would be awesome for him to be there, but he would be ecstatic if we harvested one without him.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, Kody's we're at the point now. we're doing this podcast today because Kody next week moves on up to Eureka to become a miner. So he's going to go up there and work in the mine.
Go from a miner to a miner.
Yeah, miner to a miner. He's not a miner anymore. Now he's just a miner. But
Don't get confused with other miner.
so it's pretty cool to watch your kids, be successful and be able to harvest animals or move up and pursue a passion. So
Yeah, even just being from the same stance and being a kid, like I got to watch Ron's kid and Mitchell grow up and take his first year, and that was an extremely cool experience.
yeah, and that's the thing is Kody and Ron's kids have. Kody was kind of like an older brother to him a lot, so he was around for a lot, and we do a lot of hunting with him, and so Kody got to be up with Mitchell to get his first year, and Kody had a youth tag. I think it was your last youth tag, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Kody?
that was my last youth tag.
So he got to get his last youth tag when Mitchell got his first. He got to harvest his first deer.
Oh, wow,
so
that's pretty
That's
cool.
cool.
So and Mitchell got a nice little velveted buck, and Kody got a decent little buck, and so it's kind of cool. It goes full circle. So man, it's pretty cool that you guys get to do all that stuff. Well,
Well, maybe like years coming up, you guys could be the ones that take people out.
That'll be
Yeah,
cool.
that would
Pass
be-
it on. I mean, there's not a very big duck hunting population in Pahrump, right?
No.
No.
You've got areas. I'll tell you off the show where to go. But maybe you can start introducing some people, kind of like Kody introduced you.
Yeah.
And, it's really healthy for people to get out there.
you
and
got your
experience
sister
it.
too. You guys can teach your sister a little bit.
Yeah.
If she gets in the shotgun,
yeah.
we got to start her on shotgun first.
Oh, get her.
She already has a 28 gauge. She just never shot it yet.
Yeah, I mean, you
How
can.
old's your sister?
13. She just turned 13 last week.
Tell
You
my
can-
10-year-old shooting a 20.
You can get. I will tell you, you can get ducks with a 410 if There's guys
Yeah.
that
A friend of ours shoots.
International skeet with a 410.
Yeah, there's guys at the game preserve that's all they shoot is a 410.
Yeah.
so they can
so-
shoot all day.
Well, it just
You can shoot all day with a 12.
Yeah,
You just
you-
have to be,
Yeah.
it's got to be a monster.
you have to get.
Yeah, him and I will go through thousands of rounds in a day if we're not careful.
You've got to get the ducks in closer. So that if you're using a 410 or something like that, you just got to actually work the ducks. You can't.
You've got to be sitting on top of them.
Yeah. You got to get them in, and that's the way you're supposed to really duck hunt. That's the proper way to do it. Get those birds working. Get those birds feed up in your decoys. And then you can harvest them. You can do that with a 410 all day long. But what happens is you go out to over 10, and if somebody sees a duck, they're pulling the trigger. So it's just
Or a coot.
yeah, it's a little bit tougher. So, but man,
Sometimes they aren't even pulling the trigger; they're just blowing the call.
yeah, exactly. Well, man, it looks like we're there on time. I
No,
think.
thank you guys for driving in. Thank you for being here with us.
Thanks
We
for
really
having us. This
appreciate
has been a
having you here.
blast.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and thanks for waiting for us. I know that Ron and I, Kody calls me today. He's like, "Hey, where you at?" I'm like, "We're still at the SHOT Show." Oh wait, we had a podcast tonight.
We're
Whoops.
walking past a pirate ship.
Yeah, we're watching past pirate ship. So we appreciate you guys being patient and waiting for us. And man, I enjoyed having you guys out for the hunt, and I know everybody at the game preserve had nothing but good to say about you. So I hope we can get you out for the.
That would be awesome.
the
Thank you
closer.
for having us for the adult as well.
Yeah, that was really
Absolutely.
It's like no other experience in duck hunting. Like there's nothing similar to duck hunting besides.
It's its own unique craft. isn't it?
So, what would your guys' favorite form of hunting be if you had to choose one animal to hunt for the rest of your life?
elk.
Elk.
I'll split between elk and duck.
I'd have bet you a hamburger on elk, man.
yeah.
Elk is that's my
Yeah.
favorite meat. So that would be I love to duck hunt, but elk is my favorite meat. So for no
Right.
other reason than I want the
there's-
elk meat.
There is no other experience than chasing elk. It's
I think-
especially in peak rut, it's amazing.
Yeah, I think I'd go elk, archery, elk, because archery is usually in center of right before the peak rut.
And archery though, it definitely puts you way up front, way closer, like up front and
Up
center
close
with
and
the-
personal with the elk.
Well, it's the
so
same thing
cool.
as duck hunting, right? So
Yeah.
you gotta do everything right, and everything's got to work perfectly. To be
Even
able
then,
to get
something can
there.
go wrong.
Yeah, and so it's kind of the same
Like,
thing. As it takes a
so-
lot more skill.
A couple days before I ended up getting the bull, I was still hunting, which means taking a couple steps at a time and scoping out brush. And I ended up jumping this bull. And the next day, I went through the same spot. I didn't even see him this time. And I heard him jump up and take off. I was telling my dad, he's like, yeah, the Lord probably you were probably telling yourself, I'm so cool, I did this. The Lord said, ha,
Yeah.
Swirled the wind.
Yeah, that doesn't take much. Well, man, like I said, I hope we get you guys back in for the youth closer this year.
That'd be
See if
cool.
we can get you some more swag, and maybe you can win a gun this time instead of a
Right.
speed thrower. Man, if you guys are going to go out this weekend, make sure you take somebody with you if you can. If you're going to take somebody with you, make sure you teach them something. Can't take somebody or teach somebody, make sure you hunt hard.